Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jeremy Matthews. I'm the Enrollment Operations Program Coordinator with the Office of Professional Programs, Division of Professional Studies. I want to welcome you to the UMBC Graduate Cybersecurity Programs Virtual Open House. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Richard Forno, the Graduate Program Director.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Just bang away in the chat box to make sure you can hear me. Okay, great. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to UMBC, and we're glad you could join us for a little while this lovely spring evening. As Jeremy said, I'm Dr. Rick Forno. I'm the director of our Graduate Cybersecurity Program, the assistant director of the UMBC Center for Cybersecurity. And faculty-wise, I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering. So this talk tonight is going to cover our graduate program offerings in cybersecurity, a little bit about the UMBC experience itself, why it would be an ideal spot for you to pursue cybersecurity studies, and then kind of some administrative stuff at the end about costs and fees, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. As a reminder, please make sure you are muted yourself along the way, and I'll ask Jeremy to please monitor the attendees to make sure they are muted. With that, let's dive right in. UMBC is blessed by geography. We're really at the center of cybersecurity here in Central Maryland, and I like using this picture, this chart, to show you the map of where we're located. On the right-hand side, you'll see a map of Central Maryland. There are two stars. The star on the right side of the screen is UMBC's main campus, located just south of Baltimore and about 10 minutes away from Fort Meade, home of the National Security Agency, U.S. Cyber Command, DISA, and all the contractors that support those missions. To the south of the map is the Washington, D.C. Beltway. And then the star on the center left of your screen or of the map is our campus at Shady Grove in Montgomery County at the University of Shady Grove. So we have two campus locations, our main campus in Catonsville by Baltimore and Shady Grove, both of which offer our graduate courses in cybersecurity. Ideally located, and the dark green hubs you see there show you the density, and this is a couple of years ago, of cyber-related companies and agencies in the close to our campuses. So really, regardless of which campus you go to, we are truly blessed by geography. And as far as working in the cybersecurity field, Maryland, we're always in the top 4 or 5 states with the most cybersecurity job vacancies at any one time. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we have so many large government and military organizations and contracting companies located in the state. So really, we are at the epicenter of cyber in a lot of ways, both for education, for research, for job opportunities and professional networking and more. So again, as I say, we are blessed by geography. UMBC itself is a leader in cyber, and we've got a ton of things going on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through everything, otherwise we'll be here all night, but a few highlights I'd like to bring up. Firstly, we have been for close over 20 years a center of academic excellence in both cybersecurity education and cybersecurity research, as designated by the National Security Agency and the Homeland Security Department. And what this means is that these agencies have looked at our curriculum at both the undergraduate level and graduate level, depending on the courses, and they recognize the quality of what we are providing meets their interests in cybersecurity. And since these are the leading government agencies on cybersecurity, it really is a badge of distinction that we are designated. A lot of universities are a center of academic excellence in cybersecurity education for their courses. UMBC is also a CAE, a Center of Academic Excellence for Cybersecurity Research, which underscores the level of active research that we do at UMBC in cybersecurity-related activities. Most of that is housed in the Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering, but also in the Information Systems Department and elsewhere on campus. So we are a very rigorous and research-oriented university. UMBC is also one of about 40 or 50 schools in the country that is in the National Science Foundation's Federal Cyber Corps program, also known as Scholarship for Service or SFS. This is essentially a scholarship program for U.S. citizens only that will allow you to receive, if you're awarded a scholarship, a full tuition, full-time student standing, 10 credits, or sorry, 9 full-time student tuition for 2 years, a professional stipend, internships, and the payoff is when you graduate, you have to go to work for the federal government in a cybersecurity related role for each year that you are funded. So we've had some cybersecurity students that have been funded for 2 years under SFS. They've graduated and they've gone to work into the federal government somewhere for 2 years as payback. And many of them decide to stay on because they like the work they're doing. UMBC is also a national champion as far as our cyber competition team goes, most of which are undergrads, but we have several graduate students that are involved in the club as well. We're national champions in various competitions. We're repeat winners in regional competitions, and we are definitely a force to be reckoned with, and that's pretty important. And we're very proud of that. One of the things that I want to take a minute and highlight is I mentioned the Centers of Academic Excellence and that UMBC has been designated by NSA. The university has a very long-standing relationship with NSA in education and research and teaching, and as well as recruiting. And I like to put this slide up here just to show you the level of integration, might be too strong of a term, but familiarity that we have with them and them with us, and the exposure that our students at all levels and disciplines have to careers and courses and mentors from the agency. And we're very proud of this. The slides we've made available afterwards, feel free to click on these links. But one thing that I do want to say is, we have well over now 1,200 employees at the agency. Many have been hired in the past couple of years. And we were the first university to be publicly profiled as a partner with the agency. We're very proud of that, which again just shows you the deep relationships and respects that we have for each other. So you can come to UMBC and just get your degree and be done with it, but I'd like to take a minute and give you the 60,000-foot view of what cybersecurity at UMBC entails. And this slide, I'll tell you up front, is never current because there's always so much happening. But the important thing here is to know that UMBC views cybersecurity around 4 key pedestals. We're a public university, so naturally we're focusing on education and workforce development, which is why you're here tonight. We're also a university looking to answer questions and formulate new questions through research on assorted technical and non-technical items related to cybersecurity and things generally. We have a very strong relationship with local industry through our technology incubator and BW Tech facilities, which include a cybersecurity incubator, technology transfer opportunities, international networking opportunities, and so forth through BW Tech, and then finally partnerships. We can't do any of this by ourselves. We have to collaborate. We collaborate internally across campuses, across campus, across programs, between disciplines, and then certainly with industry, government, both locally and certainly around the world. Tonight, we're going to focus specifically on the items you see in red, the MPS degree and our graduate certificates. But I'll just take this a minute and leave this up here for you to kind of soak this in. As you can see, there's much more to UMBC and cybersecurity than just coming here to get your degree. And I think it's important to know that when you come here as a UMBC graduate student, you have the ability to take advantage of any or all of these resources as a member of our community. So as I said, we have 2 campuses. Our main campus is located just south of Baltimore in Catonsville, Maryland, and our other campus is in Rockville in Montgomery County. For the moment, we are operating virtually, as you might well imagine, due to COVID. I do hope everybody is staying safe and sane these days. It has definitely been a challenging year plus for most of us. This program traditionally is an in-person lecture-based course, so you would come to campus for courses. However, we've traditionally offered several courses that are hybrid, meaning you might come to class once every couple of weeks to campus, and then the other times you're meeting virtually online. And then also we have some courses that are purely online. Please note that nothing I talk about tonight represents an entirely online program. We are not an online degree program, but many of our courses, we've moved them online, but as time goes on, expect to see more hybrid offerings made available as time goes on and as things get back to what we used to call normal. Before we get into the actual talk about the program, I want to give you a quick overview about who I am and where I come from. I am not a career academic. I do not live in the ivory tower. I came to UMBC 10 years ago after a 20-year career in industry. I've been a hands-on keyboard geek, security engineer, security geek, hacker, all the way up to chief security officer for the company that really at one time was the center of the internet during the dot-com days. I came to UMBC because I wanted to move into academia, but I wanted to apply my industry lessons and insight from my career in a way to make a difference in helping educate and inform the next generation. And UMBC, based on how they approach cybersecurity, really attracted me, and I've become even more impressed over the years. If you are taking courses or if you decide to enroll at the Shady Grove campus, my assistant GPD graduate program director is Dr. Ben Chariati, and he would be your point of contact at that campus, but we talk all the time. The important thing here is just to know that the person overseeing your program comes from the industry. I've been in cybersecurity. I've probably been in many of the same jobs you have been or are in or want to be in. And that I think is pretty important because it shows there's a relationship involved, and I can better understand the needs of industry and translating that into developing and ensuring this program remains meaningful and relevant to you. All right, so let's move further and dive in a little bit deeper here. Talk about 4 programs tonight. Well, three plus one. First off, we have a Master's of Professional Studies, a 30-credit master's degree, and several graduate certificates. The first 3 graduate certificates are offered in this program as cybersecurity certificates. The 4th certificate on the right in emergency management is offered through a partnership with our emergency health services program, and I'll talk about that later on. We just arranged that partnership last year. So let's talk about the certificates first. As you can see, we have 4 certificates. Each certificate is 4 courses, 12 credits, and you can do them in a year. The cybersecurity certificates, the first 3 are, again, are in this program, and the emergency manager certificate is offered through the EHS program. As you can see on the far right, many of the courses overlap. You all take introductory courses, then you sort of specialize in various ways. The strategy and policy certificate, as the name implies, is not a technical certificate. It's geared for folks who are in the intelligence community or law enforcement community or the policy community and don't necessarily need to have an operationally oriented focus to the low-level bits and bytes of cybersecurity. The cybersecurity operations certificate, that is more of a general cybersecurity overview for folks who may be transitioning into the cybersecurity field, or who are, let's say, maybe you're a contracts administrator and you want to know more about cybersecurity because you're seeing more cybersecurity stuff crossing your desk. That would be the certificate for you. And as you can see, that certificate has 3 required courses and then lets you pick an elective based on your interests, whether it's a technical course or a non-technical course. And we'll talk about electives in a few minutes. And then finally, we have a certificate in digital forensics, which, as the name implies, is electronic whodunit, cybercrime investigations, trying to collect evidence and data from log files or from seized devices, things like that. Finally, the certificate in emergency management, as the courses imply, deals with disaster preparedness, response recovery, and so forth as well. And that actually, all 4 of these certificates are subsets of the master's degree. So if you start any of these certificates, and you complete them, or complete a certificate, you're pretty much halfway done with your master's degree. So if you wanted to carry on, you certainly could, and it's just a simple form, and you matriculate from the certificate program to the degree program. Similarly, if you are in the master's program and you complete the requisite 4 courses for a certificate, you can also earn 1 or more graduate certificates as well. So these are the 4 graduate certificates that are in this program. Let's turn now to the master's degree. Master's of Professional Studies is a 10-course, 30-credit graduate degree. Most students take about 2 years to do it. You have up to 5 years to complete everything. No thesis is required. This is not a research degree. This is a practitioner and professionally oriented degree. The degree is structured around 6 core courses and 4 electives. As you can see, the core courses are in the middle of the screen. And if you were paying attention to the previous slide, several of these core courses also line up with courses in our certificates. Introduction to Cybersecurity, Managing Cyber Ops, Risk Analysis. Those are all core courses. And that's intentional to give you maximum flexibility so that if you did want to start with a certificate and move to the master's, or if you're in the master's and you want to obtain a certificate, you can do that fairly easily. And then you've got a room for 4 electives. And the electives, the sample of which you can see is on the right-hand column. Certainly they're not offered every semester. That just would be impossible. But I like using this list to give you an idea of the type of electives that we have here. This is not a cookie cutter degree program. We have electives that will rotate in and out all the time. Some are in this program in cybersecurity, some are computer science courses, some are cross-listed between programs. But as you can see, you have a range of technical and non-technical courses that you have access to develop a master's degree program that will be applicable to you based on your specific personal or professional interests. So I know that's a lot of material up on the slide here. Are there any questions about the certificate or master's that I can answer for you at this time? You can just type a question in the chat box if you'd like. Okay, I don't see anybody in there, which means I'm going to move forward and then somebody's going to pop up. But we'll deal with that as we need to. Of this entire presentation, this is the only marketing slide that I have in here. And I try to keep this simple, but I wanted to pull out a couple of key things that I think really sets us apart from other programs that you might be considering. Most of our courses, well, actually all of our courses, have been developed by practitioners who are currently working in the cyber warfare, cyber operations, cybersecurity field. Several of them have written books, written laws, written federal regulations, military doctrine, and really blazed the path in this field. So that's pretty cool that these are the same folks that are sharing their knowledge now with us. There's a very tight synergy between our faculty, their employers, and the program and students. One quick example. Several years ago, one of the professors teaching our Global Cyber Capabilities course was a retired executive from the NSA, then in private practice. The final project for his class was to develop and essentially do an intelligence briefing on the capabilities of countries like Russia, North Korea, and China on cyber warfare. And he broke the students into groups, and they came back and did a briefing on each country's capabilities. That night, after the professor got home, he called me around 10:30, 11 o'clock that night and asked if he could take these PowerPoints into his classified work environment and show his coworkers, because this was better work that his employees were doing, and he wanted to show them how to do it right. I said, sure, take the students' names off of the slides and you can show it to whoever you like. Well, he did that. And when he came back the next week and told the students what he had done, they were thrilled. They were really, it drove home the fact that what they had learned and what they did was really top-notch quality, and it meant a lot to them. Similarly, when Stuxnet, which some of you may have heard was the malicious code that shut down or disabled the Iranian nuclear program several years ago, it came up in several of our classes for obvious reasons, and students would ask questions as they covered it. And you could tell by how some professors would answer the question. They didn't want to answer too technically. They wanted to approach the topic from a different perspective because they were fairly engaged and knowledgeable, but they couldn't talk about it. Students pick up on that, and that again underscores the fact that our faculty are indeed experienced, and they're actually working on this stuff, by day, and then coming into the classroom at night to share their knowledge. They're not using stuff from 20 years ago, and that's really important. Our program is very flexible. Our schedules are designed around you as a professional learner. We presume that most of you have day jobs, so courses meet Monday to Thursday from 4:30 to 7, 6 to 8:40, and 7:10 to 9:50. Each class meets once a week for 15 weeks. And the advantage there is that you can take 2 courses per semester and manage that pretty effectively. You can do more if you're able to, but most students will take 1 or 2 courses per semester. And by meeting once a week for 2.5 hours a night, you can accomplish that and finish your degree in 2 years. More so, as I've showed you with our electives, this course is flexible. There are courses in computer science or information systems or other departments that may be relevant to your interests. You can see what's offered in a given semester, and if it's appropriate, consult with your program director and see if that's worth taking and would count towards your degree. You're not limited to just taking a course from the cybersecurity program. And again, that's something else that sets us apart from other programs, which lock you in at just taking a certain number of courses and that's it. We give you a lot more flexibility. We're also very agile as a program. We can develop new courses and programs fairly quickly. Several years ago, when the Edward Snowden disclosures first came out in spring of, I think it was 2013, the world suddenly learned about the insider threat problem and what it meant to have people you couldn't trust in your company who might be doing stuff you prefer them not to do. A lot of students were interested in that. That was in the spring. By that fall, so just a few months later, we have developed and rolled out a course on insider threats, what to do about them and how to counter them, and it's sold out. It filled up. The course was very well received. The professor was wonderful, and the students saw, again, the value of us being agile enough to offer them a course based on a situation that was at the time still evolving in the world, and they appreciated that. And then finally, opportunity. Think back to that big slide I showed you before with the graphic and all the things going on at UMBC, okay? You have the opportunity to go to department tech talks, industry talks, career services, our job fairs, student activities, clubs, research groups. All these opportunities are here and you are able to take advantage of them. Yes, you can come here and just get your degree or certificate and be done, and that's fine, and we'll certainly help you in that regard. But we give you the opportunity to develop your whole person, your professional, job hunting skills, working with career services to network and find opportunities and do more than just get your degree. But it's entirely up to you. So the key takeaway here is I want to just give you a couple of bullet points of what I think are sort of the intangible strengths of our program and where some real value add benefits are for our students. And I think these 4 buzzwords pretty much describe some of the major strengths of our programs. As far as the program curriculum itself, we are very oriented towards the industry and meeting employer needs. When this program was designed back in 2010, we polled several local employers from the government, the state, the private sector, and we said, if you were going to be hiring students from a graduate program in cybersecurity, what are the top 10 things you'd look for? And they responded. And the first 3 or 4 things had absolutely nothing to do with cybersecurity or technology or hackers or firewalls or anything like that. Rather, the first few things the employers asked for were things like, can your graduates, work well with others? Can they think critically? Can they work as a team? Can they grow? Do they have, critical thinking and detail-oriented skills and things like that? Are they good managers of time? Essentially, are they good professionals? And oh yeah, by the way, then we could work with cybersecurity as well. And that was very revealing to us because it informed how we designed our curriculum to blend the balance of the technical and discipline skills of being a cybersecurity person, things like firewalls and hackers and malware and technology and all those things you think of when you think of cybersecurity, but then balance it in the classroom by also developing the skills needed as a person and a professional to put that knowledge into practice in the workplace. As I've said for years, you can be the best geek in the world, and you're always going to have a job or a series of jobs. But if you're coming to grad school, clearly you want to develop your career and have a career progression that advances over time. And for that, you have to know how to work well with others, write well, present, do group projects, work with people and things like that. So we do that. And I say this now because just a couple of years ago, when an industry survey came out, as you can see here, the same held true. Employers wanted a mix of the skills and knowledge of cybersecurity, which you can see on the right-hand chart, and also the skills and knowledge and capabilities needed to be a good practitioner in the workplace. And that's what we do. This program blends the both of them together to hopefully make you a well-rounded or a more well-rounded, competent practitioner, and one that is attractive to employers if you are then looking to move into the field after graduation. And of course, along the way, you're going to certainly do a deeper dive into what industry is looking for. I'm sure many of you working in IT or cybersecurity have seen terms like this before. We cover many of these things. Industry is interested in folks who understand and can operate in these areas. Our program delivers that as well. So, as I say, we're definitely targeted and meeting employer needs in developing well-rounded, career-oriented cybersecurity practitioners. Again, just to show you some of the student activities that you could take advantage of while you're here. I want to take a minute and also highlight that center picture with the flags. I mentioned that our faculty are awesome and they're very well connected with industry. Several years ago, we had one of our professors. He was a director of a similar program at the Army War College up in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. The Army in the springtime, in the spring semester, was hosting a cyber war game exercise up in Carlisle. He was able to arrange a team from UMBC, and those are several of his students from our program, to attend and compete in this cyber war game with the Army. So this group of students went up, took a day off, they went up to Carlisle. They were one of 8 teams competing in this Army exercise. They didn't win, but they didn't come in last place either, which is good. And it just, again, shows you the experience and sort of the benefit. I mean, you can see the smiles on some of their faces. I mean, this is a value add that you're not going to find in a lot of other schools, where our faculty are bringing their employers to the students and then attracting the students to come out and kind of get more exposure in these type of real world examples and exercises. And they really loved it. As far as application and how to apply, the deadline for fall apps is August 1st. It's an online application. You can do it at that link and via our website. Official college transcripts are needed. Recommendation letters are helpful, but they're not required. Once your application is complete and received, and everything's been received, it gets reviewed, and the program tends to turn around applications fairly quickly. So you will unofficially be told by the professional programs team that you've been recommended for admission, and then that allows you to plan, kind of get an idea about where things stand. But your admission is not official until you receive a formal letter from the UMBC graduate school congratulating you and welcoming you to the program. At that point, then you're officially in the system and in the program, and it's off to the races at that point. I definitely encourage you to visit the program's website to look at the admissions criteria, particularly international students. The IELTS and TOEFL scores minimums are there. The timeline is a little different because there's a lot more paperwork involved, so please do check that out. If there are any UMBC undergrads on this call tonight, don't forget about the accelerated bachelor's to master's program we have. I'm not going to walk everybody through it tonight, but in short story, if you're interested in pursuing your master's degree while still an undergrad at UMBC, Let's Talk. There's an application process. You end up taking up to 9 graduate course credits while an undergrad, paying undergraduate tuition rates, which so you're saving money, and the courses you take will count towards both your bachelor's and your master's. So by the time you graduate your undergrad, you hopefully are 9 credits into your 30 credit master's degree. You're about a third of the way done before you even start as a graduate student. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Again, if you're a UMBC student, if you're interested, again, check out our website or reach out to us to learn more. Some other basic information about kind of the program experience. Most students will start off taking Cyber 620, Introduction to Cybersecurity. I definitely encourage this if you are new to the field of cybersecurity and technology. Very important. If you happen to have a CISSP certification and you've earned that within the past 5 years, we are able to waive the Cyber 620 course requirement. We believe that if you take the CISSP, you could probably teach the 620 course, so why are we going to force you to take it? You could take something else instead of Cyber 620. As I said earlier, most students will take 1 or 2 courses per semester if they're working full-time. You can certainly take more courses, but again, this is graduate school. The reading and writing requirements are different. The courses are more challenging, and we expect more of you. If you're not working full-time, certainly you could take more courses if you can manage it. But again, we want you to be successful in the program, so don't overload yourself needlessly. The capstone course, Cyber 624, is the only course that has prerequisites, meaning you can only take it after the other courses are completed, usually your last semester. That said, some of our technical courses do have prerequisites. Now, you saw that list of courses earlier, and that's wonderful. You might see a course on cryptography or malware or reverse engineering and think that sounds really cool. I want to learn about that. Well, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me or the professor teaching the course to discuss your background. If you're coming from, let's say, a business world and you've never touched a compiler, a decompiler, a disassembler, you're probably not going to do well in a course on reverse engineering. I had a student several years ago who wanted to take a course on cryptology. She thought it was all about codes and ciphers. Well, yes, it was. I recommended her not to after discussing her background, but she wouldn't listen to me. She enrolled in the course, saw the syllabus the first day of class, and immediately that night dropped the course because she realized the course required math, a ton of math, and that was not what she was cut out for. So again, some of the technical courses will have prerequisites, particularly in the computer science world, and those prerequisites can be either coursework or professional. So you may, the computer science course may require you have taken a course in operating systems, but if you're dealing with operating systems at a fundamental level all day at work, that's probably enough to qualify. So again, just read the course descriptions to see what the prereqs are. If you have questions, again, just ask. I said earlier, not all electives are offered every semester, but we do have a healthy rotating list of electives, so you will not be bored. We do accept transfer credits from other schools, provided those credits were not used towards another degree. So if you started, let's say, an MBA somewhere but never finished it, and you want to transfer 3 credits, well, let's see what course it is, and if you had a B or better, we might be able to do something. But if you earned the MBA and you want to transfer credits, we can't, because that's akin to double dipping and double counting, and we can't do that. Finally, the most important item on the slide is the last bullet point. This is a graduate degree, even though we are not a research degree. There's no thesis involved. There's no scholarly publishing requirement. We do expect all students to have appropriate graduate or professional level research and writing skills. The rule of thumb I will give you now is the rule of thumb I tell people at orientation. It's the rule of thumb I tell people in my courses and in the capstone, is that the written work you do in this program should be of a quality that you would be proud to see published, or that you'll be proud to show your boss. And it's up to you to decide if your research and writing skills are good enough. If not, There are resources on campus to help you with your research and writing skills. Take advantage of them. But again, this is a graduate program. We are targeting working professionals. Part of being a good, competent working professional is having good critical thinking, analysis, presentation, and writing skills. So I don't mean that to scare you, but again, I just want to let you know for sure what you're getting into. As you can see here on the screen, full-time enrollment is 9 credits. Part-time is anything less. Most students are part-time, taking 2 courses. You see the tuition and fees here. I'm not going to go through all this. Honestly, I'm not involved in the financial side of the program, but certainly do check out the Student Business Services website to understand the various fees and payment options available to you. As I said earlier, we have one scholarship program for this program, which is SFS. It is merit-based, it is not need-based, and it is open to U.S. citizens only because it is a U.S. government funded program. So if you're interested in SFS, please check out cybersecurity.umbc.edu. We have our scholarship pages listed there. So to wrap up, if you have questions about the program, SFS, or questions about the industry, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have questions about the admissions process, paperwork forms, things like that, please reach out to my program coordinator, Faith Din, at the email address provided. To learn more about the program, please visit our website, as you can see, cyber.umbc.edu. And if you're curious to know more about what UMBC does more generally in cybersecurity, again, I encourage you to check out the UMBC Center for Cybersecurity website as well. Bottom line is we are here for you. This program is professionally oriented. It is intended to produce and develop practitioners. And again, we're going into, our 12th year now, and I look forward to seeing you apply and hopefully coming to campus in the fall. And with that, Jeremy, I think you have a couple of questions that you want to fire my way. And then if you have other questions, folks, please feel free to put them in the chat box and I'll get to them next. So Jeremy, over to you.
Absolutely. So I'll actually start with a couple of these more admissions and administrative questions that I can address. As you saw on a previous slide, full-time and part-time status. Full-time is 9 credits or more, 3 courses usually. That is fairly unusual for any working professionals, but for more recent graduates or international students, that would be your full-time status. One of the nice things about UMBC is that we don't make a huge distinction between full and part-time students. You do not have to pick one when you apply. You can be full-time one semester and part-time the next based on, what's going on with you at work or in your personal life. So that is a label that is determined by your credits, but it does not really change your experience. We want you to be able to take courses at the rate that you are able to. The specific admission requirements we were also asked about. I will put a link in the chat to the how to apply page for cybersecurity. The actual components are a bachelor's degree, a resume, a personal statement, transcripts for your degree, and the actual application, which you can find online. And actually, Rick, I think if you go to the next slide, we have a fee waiver on there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, there we go. So there's a special population code, DPS 2021, to waive that $50 fee if you are applying online. That is on the last page of the application, I believe. We do not require GRE scores. If you want to submit them, you can, and they will be considered. Same goes for letters of recommendation. If you want to submit them to strengthen your application, we welcome you to do so. I'm sure Rick is happy to consider everything that you submit, but for domestic students, GRE and letter of recommendation, totally optional. If you have any further questions there, again, you can reach out to my colleague Faith, cyber@umbc.edu is the best email for that, and we'll be happy to work with you. And the application is pretty easy to find on all of our web pages, I hope. Lastly, there was a question on the fee structure. As you saw on a previous slide, that is per credit. Thank you. These are, I believe, the current spring rates. The fall rates are not yet published, and we know that they're going to be a little bit fluid because of the online hybrid in-person nature. There's still some uncertainty. The best thing to do is to go to sbs.umbc.edu for information. You can find the billing schedule there, you can find arrangements for payment plans, and you can find the most up-to-date information on the tuition and fees amounts. So I will now go back to some of our more academic questions. I'm going to bundle these two together. So Rick, first, for someone who is coming from industry outside of cybersecurity, for someone who has a BA and an MBA and is looking for a career change, if you could talk about some of the ways to transition into the cybersecurity industry and how feasible that is. And I think somewhat relatedly, how much hands-on experience there is in this program in the fields of both IT and cybersecurity, security.
Right. That's actually a great question. And at the risk of sounding like a traditional professor, it depends. The first part of your question is to transition into cybersecurity. People do it all the time. You don't need to be a hardcore geek or a programmer or a coder to enter the cybersecurity field. A lot of people come with degrees in business, English, international relations, political science, music, and go on to work in cybersecurity. So don't let prior education be a discouraging factor. My own example, just to kind of put it in context, 2 of my 3 degrees are in international affairs, political science, if you will. But my entire career has been in cybersecurity. I mean, I'm a self-taught geek, and here I am now sitting in a research-heavy computer science department. So really, it's what you make of it yourself and kind of how you play up your background and are able to pivot and adapt and incorporate your prior life knowledge towards the discipline. So what I would do is say, if you're interested in that, it sounds to me like you're coming from a less technical background, which is fine. You can start off with the cybersecurity operations certificate and kind of explore the world of cybersecurity, and then transition into the master's degree program, and where some of your electives could be technical or they may be non-technical, again, depending on where your interests lie. As far as the hands-on, the technical component, some of our core courses do have technical components. We wouldn't be a cybersecurity program if we didn't. But again, we're not producing technicians. We're not training people. So for example, the introduction to cybersecurity course, you'll be looking at things like log files and network traces and things like that. Introductory type of things. By contrast, in the introduction to malware analysis, you're going to be tearing apart pieces of malicious code, requiring advanced knowledge, which you may or may not have. So really, it just depends. The Practitioner Development Lab, for example, is a hands-on course that loosely, I won't say directly, but it loosely segues into the Certified Ethical Hacker certification. So, you'll learn things like, vulnerability analysis and penetration testing and, Wi-Fi sniffing and things like that. So again, if you don't have the knowledge, we have courses mainly through electives that can give you that knowledge, but you'll also experience some technical hands-on stuff in the actual core courses. But again, this is education. This is not technical training. If you're looking for technical training for a quick and dirty how to do something, you can look at a community college or a place like UMBC training centers and go through an intensive crash course boot camp to learn just technical skills. That's not what this program does. We're much broader than that.
Okay, and we also had a somewhat more specific question, whether graduate students are eligible for NSA's cooperative education program. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you go ahead and take it there.
I don't see why not. The co-op program, I believe, is run by the agency, so you would. And to be honest, I work with the agency all the time. I know of the program. I don't know specifics about the program, so I'm not sure what to tell you other than I suspect you would qualify, and you would apply either through UMBC or through the agency.
Okay, great. Well, those were our questions submitted ahead of time. I think all of the others were covered in the presentation. So to our students who are here, I think there are few enough of you that if you want to unmute to ask your questions, we can handle that. Or if you want to use the chat box, Rick and I are both here to answer them.
Going twice. No questions from anybody on this call. Were we that clear? Should I have required a quiz halfway through to, make sure you understood everything? No questions?
At least you answered all mine, so yeah.
That
Thank
would
you.
be Lewis. Okay, well, good to
Yeah.
hear. Thank you. Are there other questions from anybody on the call? Last opportunity. All right, then. Well, hearing none, I will say thank you for spending part of your evening tonight. Hopefully, this answered a lot of your questions, and you are interested in sending in your application to us between now and the deadline of August 1st. We look forward to seeing your application and seeing you on campus, hopefully at some point, certainly in this program. Remember, too, you can use a special code to waive the application fee, so jot that down so you have it handy. Saving some money is always good. Again, if you have questions about the program, please feel free to reach out to me. For administrative questions about the admissions process, applications, dates, deadlines, transfer credits, stuff like that, please contact my program coordinator, Faith Din. And as I said before, you can check out the program website at cyber.umbc.edu or the UMBC Cybersecurity Center at cybersecurity.umbc.edu to learn about all the fun things that we're doing at cybersecurity related to UMBC. So with that, I thank you very much for your time this evening, and I wish you a pleasant evening and rest of the week. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you on campus. Have a great night.